Hi everybody, Firestar here, and today I want to discuss a topic that's been bouncing around YouTube now for about 8 or 9 months, and I really want to discuss it because it's really starting to kind of grab my gears, and I kind of want to just have my say on it. So it's largely about this film, Star Wars The Last Jedi. Yes, I do own it. Yes, I thought it was a very good film. And yes, I have nothing against the film because I thought it was a very good film. Star Wars The Last Jedi. Now, you're probably wondering what this video is about. Well, simply put, I'm getting really kind of fed up of the 1% of Star Wars fans who are basically bitching and moaning about The Last Jedi and are trying to blame one person for their dislike, which is Kathleen Kennedy, the producer. Now, I just want to quickly go over a few interesting things about Kathleen Kennedy, because I think it's very important that we mention this. So, to start off with, people, for those who do not know, Kathleen Kennedy is not new to the film scene. She's not some fledgling producer who was scooped up and placed on The Last Jedi as a producer. No. Kathleen Kennedy has been producer on 82 films, and her career spans almost 40 years. She started in 1981. Now, let us briefly look at some of the films Kathleen Kennedy has been producing on or been associated with. 1981, Raiders of the Lost Ark, a really good film. 1982, associate producer, Poltergeist, another really good film. 1982 again, E.T., she was the producer. E.T. is one of the most beloved science fiction films ever made, and Kathleen Kennedy was the producer on that film. You don't hear anybody moaning or bitching about that, do you? Let's see what we got here next. There's a huge list, I could literally read it all, but I won't. Back to the Future, 1985. She was the executive producer on Back to the Future, another extremely popular science fiction film that is a classic and is beloved by many. Again, producer was Kathleen Kennedy. What else have we got here? We have The Land Before Time, 1988. She was a co-executive producer. The Land Before Time is a classic animated film that everybody knows and loves. What else have we got here? Another 1988 film. She was executive producer on Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Again, another brilliant 80s film that is beloved by many. After that, we could go on forever. Hook, 1991, producer on that. Again, a brilliant Peter Pan film. She was a producer on that. Let's see, what else have we got? We've got loads. She was the producer on one of the greatest films of the early 90s, people. 1993, she was the producer of Jurassic Park. A film beloved by thousands. A film that even today stands the test of time and is seen as one of the greatest dinosaur films ever made. Kathleen Kennedy was the producer of the 1993 film Jurassic Park. What have we got next, people? Next we have in 1994, she was the executive producer of the live-action Flintstones. Another really good film. It could go on and on and on. The Sixth Sense, she was the producer of the 1999 film The Sixth Sense. A brilliant supernatural film. It is brilliant, as we all know. Then we can go into some of the more current films that people may know about. Let's see here. What have we got here that was current? Rogue One, A Star Wars Story. 2016, she was a producer. That film was hugely successful, and again, Star Wars fans really liked it. I don't think there were any complaints about that film. She was a producer on that film. What else have we got here? She was the US US version of Ponyo, a classic Studio Ghibli film, 2009, she was the US. For the US version, she was a co-producer. And then we've got The Force Awakens, she was a producer, 2015. That grossed $2 billion at the box office, and I don't think there were any complaints about it at all. So throughout the last 40 years, Kathleen Kennedy has been producer, attached to some of the greatest films that have been released since the early 80s. And people are bashing her and saying that it's all her fault that we didn't like The Last Jedi. Shut up! It's got nothing to do with her. The reason you complainers, you moaners, you top 1% of Star Wars fanbase did not like The Last Jedi because it did not live up to your hype. It did not live up to your YouTube expectations. And just to settle things, people, just so we're in the clear, all the rumours about her being thrown off Star Wars because Disney are unhappy with her are not true. 2019, Star Wars Episode 9, she is attached as the producer. So clearly, Disney do not have an issue with a 40-plus year veteran of film who has been making films longer than most of Star Wars fans have been alive. I should also point out that one very important thing, in 1981 she helped co-found and run the hugely successful production company Amblin Entertainment with Steven Spielberg. She has worked alongside the great Steven Spielberg. This woman knows what she's talking about when it comes to producing films. She's been doing it for 40 years. She's worked on some of the greatest films to come out within the last 40 years. She knows what she is doing. Interestingly though, on a side note, no one has an issue with Ram Bergman. He was the second producer attached to The Last Jedi. He too actually has quite an interesting little list of films that he's been attached to within the last 20 odd years. But no one has an issue with him. Apparently, it's just Kathleen Kennedy's fault. Because for some reason, I get the feeling it's based off the concept that she's a woman, therefore she must be a social justice warrior feminist. Therefore, the reason we didn't get what we wanted means it's all her fault. There is nothing wrong with The Last Jedi, people. It's a very clever film. And it's very enjoyable, and it grossed over 1.3 billion at the box office. It is not a failure of a Star Wars film. So nobody needs to say crap like boycott the Solo film, don't go and see it. And no one had better spew crap about not going to see Episode 9. Go and see these films, they are very good. And also, can people please stop with the ridiculous crap of stating that people are going to do a remake of The Last Jedi? What the hell? You want to literally do a full remake just to satisfy that teeny weeny little 1% of fans? If you actually did that, you would then have to remake Episode 9. It's not going to happen. Honestly. So, for a better of the word, please stop blaming Kathleen Kennedy for a film that the 1% were not happy with, because that 1% spent 2 years on YouTube coming up with theories and being so set in their theories, they believed when they went to see the film, they would find out who Snoke was, they would find out who Rey's parents were. Despite the fact that it basically had been said by the director of The Last Jedi, Snoke is not the end game. There is something else out there that makes Snoke look like a puppy. Snoke was not the end game. And may I remind you, another really powerful Sith Lord was defeated very easily, aka Darth friggin' Sidious. Emperor Palpatine himself was thrown down a massive pit vent thing into the Death Star 2's reactor by his apprentice Darth Vader so he could save his son. And Darth Vader was able to do that because Palpatine was distracted while he was blasting Luke with Force lightning. Nobody complains about that, do they? But people moan and bitch that Supreme Leader Snoke got taken out by Kylo Ren while he was distracted. The same thing, people. The same thing. So, rant over. But, to end this rant, stop taking the blame out on Kathleen Kennedy. She is a professional. She has 40 years experience. 1981 she started working on films alongside the great Steven Spielberg. She does know what she's doing. She is still attached to Star Wars. And if you weren't happy with The Last Jedi, fair enough. Your decision. But stop trying to blame someone just because you're trying to find someone to blame. Right. End of video. Simple message. Don't blame Kathleen Kennedy because it's clearly not her fault. It's just the fact that none of you are happy that you didn't get what you all wanted. Right. That's my rant over. Thank you very much for listening. Peace out.